Welcome to Roleplaying History, the podcast where we explore the history of role-playing games. I'm Wayne Davis, and I'll be your guide for today's tour. Episode 132, Holiday-Themed One-Shots and Modules. Before we get into this week's show, I need to clear up a piece of business from last week's show. When I was talking about the 2000 Dungeons & Dragons movie, I left Thora Birch off the list of actors that people would have known going into the movie. She played the Empress, so she had a rather large role in the flick, and it going south seemed to have an impact on her career, though there were some other factors that figured into that. Thanks to all the folks who emailed and DM'd me to remind me that I left Thora off the list, and clearing that up clears up the only issue I had pointed out about what I missed. For now, I'm sure. There will certainly be more, especially for television and movies based on other games. So when I get enough of those, we will do another episode. All right, so with the old business covered, let's get into the new business, which is us covering holiday-themed one-shots and modules. I mentioned last week that I was doing my best to find scenarios that had a theme or feel from as many different holidays as possible, but today's show is pretty much all Christmas themed, so I apologize to our Jewish friends, since Hanukkah is concluding today as this runs, and our friends that celebrate any of the dozen or so other holiday events that take place between the end of November and the end of December. No offense is meant to you, and I do want to say that I hope your holiday season has been, or will be if it hasn't happened yet, all that you hope it will be. And the first person who accuses me of being woke for saying that will be rolling at disadvantage for all of 2024, and I don't care if your system allows for it or not, so there. I also need to note that some of these entries are going to be longer than others, and that's mostly because I was able to find a decent amount of, if not all of, some of these adventures, while a few of them I was only able to dig up a synopsis, so if I don't expand on one, it's not because I didn't like it or think you'd like it. I just had a hell of a time finding everything I wanted to find and was up against the deadline. That's what I get for getting this ambitious, and trust me, the 2023 Roundup show is also tying me up in knots, so karma's a bitch. Alright, so let's get the tour bus, or tour sleigh, or whatever you want to call it, cranked up and get to this week's topic. How the Lich Stole Christmas is set up to be a one-shot, as all the reviews I saw for it noted that it can be played in about 3 hours. It's also set for D&D characters of any level, as there are multiple options for the various situations the group finds themselves in based on levels. And the story is told in rhyme, for the most part, much like the Seuss book it's based on. So instead of the Grinch, our intrepid adventurers are taking on the Lich, which is going to make for some very interesting interactions. How the Lich Stole Christmas is available on the DM's Guild. Inside the demiplane of winter, the dread elf Lord Santa Claus sits in his icy fortress. It is said he possesses a magic scroll that reveals the good and evil deeds of all creatures. But who is he to lord such knowledge over the rest of us? The potential of such an item in the right hands would be limitless. The corrupt could be brought to justice, the guilty exposed, and the wrongfully accused redeemed. Not to mention it would have some very profitable uses. Now this comes from the Christmas heist. So, just in case you didn't get the idea, the group in this scenario is going to be putting together a heist on Santa himself. They're tasked with breaking into the demiplane, stealing the list, and, most importantly, not getting caught. The Christmas heist is built for characters at level 3 and is available through the DM's Guild. Christmas with the Flumps, written by J.W. Ross, is next on our list. It is definitely designed to be a fun, whimsical piece, and according to a couple of the reviewers, has one of the best D&D creatures ever designed in the Flumph. It's also got life-size gingerbread houses and magical candy that can be used to conjure edible snow golems. I'm going to read the teaser piece for this one. Christmas with the Flumps takes place in the world of the Forgotten Realms, setting in 1489 DR. Walton Fizzleblimp, an extremely rich goblin and candy maker extraordinaire from Waterdeep, has sent one of his delivery teams to the frozen reaches of Icewind Dale to deliver as many presents and candy as they can to the residents of 10 towns from their sleigh, pulled by Flumps. Unfortunately, a deadly blizzard catches the team off guard, and they crash into the wilderness of Icewind Dale and find themselves seeking shelter in a strange home made up of candy and gingerbread known as Granny's Stead. Unknown to them, strangeness lingers inside. I don't have the level this scenario was written for, but I can tell you the group is intended to be the ones who'd been piloting the sleigh. And you can pick it up on DM's Guild. Now, since I've been doing so much D&D based stuff to this point, and I'll be doing more as we go along, let's take a minute to look at something that doesn't use those rules. In fact, it doesn't use many rules at all. It uses 5 D6s and a bunch of paper clips. It also happens to be based on one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. The game, Dice Hard, A Christmas Story. It's set up to definitely be a one-night, one-shot game, and using the micro games minimal rules system that Dice Man Games is known for, it's more about the tactics the players choose and the amount of creativity they're capable of coming up with. And yes, it's basically fantasy Die Hard. So let me read the teaser piece. They said, "Come to the North Pole, we'll get together, have a few laughs, it'll be fun." But then comes a band of thieving gremlins to take control over the factory and empty out the toy vault. You are Leland McLean, a red and green beret who has escaped the initial invasion. Outnumbered 40-1, it's up to you to whittle down the invading army and regain control over the toy factory. Oh, and if you're one of those who don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, we will agree to disagree. Dice Hard is available online from Dice Man Games on their website, dicemangames.com. Before I get back into the games, I did want to note something. Just because something is built for D&D doesn't mean you can't use it for whatever system you're running. Much like I always say on the campaign build-along, just take the scenario itself, adjust the rules to fit the system you're running, and drop it in for your players. Most of these are one-shots, so it gives you the opportunity to give your group a night off from the seriousness that they're working through the other 51 weeks of the year, if you play every week. And sometimes I think stuff like that helps get the players back on point when you're finished. It's just my 2 cents worth. Next up on our list is Last Christmas, written by Janek Selicki. Built for D&D 5th edition, it's got a way different feel than what we've covered thus far. Tell you what, let me read you the teaser, then we'll talk some more about it. This Christmas, Santa Claus must die. Adopt the role of one of the characters based on iconic Christmas villains and raid Santa's North Pole base in order to destroy Santa's corrupted form. Due to the Grunch's machinations, Santa's jovial form has been corrupted and he's called off his annual gift-giving journey. Now, the spirit of Christmas gives Grunch an ultimatum. He must assemble a team of other famous villains, infiltrate the North Pole base, and destroy the corrupted Santa Claus so he can be reborn and deliver presents. The team will have to navigate environmental hazards, deal with the 4 factions of Santa's elves, and finally battle the Man in Red himself. So while it sort of sounds cute, it's definitely going to be darker than what the group might expect out of a holiday-based game. That means if you're not into the sugary sweet stuff we've gotten into thus far, this is probably the one-shot that'll work best for you. And it's available from the DM's Guild. Let's get off the DM's Guild again for a minute and check out another rules-light game. 'Twas, the role-playing game before Christmas, is inspired by the legends and literature of Christmas, and it's written by Jonathan Green with illustrations from Tony Huff. Unlike most everything else on this list, it's probably going to take you a couple of sessions to get through. What's it all about? Well, I'll take the summary from the Kickstarter page this game was funded on. The players take on the role of various toys brought to life by Santa Claus so that they might save him from Krampus, the Christmas devil, who has abducted the jolly old elf. What follows is an epic adventure that will take them to the Arctic wilderness of the North Pole and eventually into Santa's workshop itself. Again, it's rules light, so it's going to be more about tactics and strategy over combat and rolls, so it should be a welcome break from the usual thing. If you're interested in picking this up, you can order it through DriveThruRPG, as Jonathan Green noted in the Kickstarter itself that he was using them as the sales point for the game. Okay, so before we get into a few more of the longer rundowns, I wanted to toss out 6 adventures that were gathered by Kevin Coffey back in 2014. I would give the publication/website he posted on some credit, but I neglected to write that one down, so it's on me. If you've read it before, let me know, and I will write up a correction for a future show. We begin with stats for Santa Claus. Wizards of the Coast had their team put together stats for the jolly old fat guy back when 3.5 was a big thing. Now, they called him Nicholas the Gift Giver, but you get the point. They chose to make him a druid, wizard, rogue, and they gave him magic items and a sleigh team. They also produced 2 adventures, Nicholas the Gift Giver's Northern Palace and the Chest of Misfit Items. This one's available on the DM's Guild, so if you're interested, give it a peek. WotC also produced something for Gamma World, which for those not in the know was based on D&D 4th edition's rules. The scenario is Factory of Misfit Omega Tech, and it's available from media.wizards.com. There's a D&D adaptation of A Christmas Carol running around out there that you can pick up and use if you're so inclined. Written by Gabe from Penny Arcade, it began as something he ran for his wife and their friends, and he decided to put it out there for the gaming world to run for their friends. Check out penny-arcade.com. Fans of Mutants and Masterminds have a Christmas-themed adventure they can use. In 2005, Crisis on Christmas was released, and it came out for free. It runs on the premise that superheroes never get a day off, not even for the holidays. Check out freeronin.com if you're interested. That's freeronin.com. Last up on the list is a holiday-themed adventure for the Spirit of the Century system. It's the system I covered once that has a cover with a gorilla flying a biplane. Yeah, that one. Very cool system. It's designed to be a pick-it-up-and-run system, so the rules are very simple. The scenario in question, Spirit of the Season, tasks the players with fighting Dr. Scrooge and Jacques Frost with the help of Secret Santa and his reindeer men. And this one comes with some bona fides. It was nominated for an Emmy Award. It was published by Evil Hat Productions, and they note you can pick it up on Drive-Thru RPG. We're headed back to the DM's Guild for the final 4 items on our list today, and I say items because the next entry on our list isn't an adventure. It's 4 one-shot idea tables that you can use to build your own adventure for 5th edition D&D. It comes from GM Binder, and each chart does the following. Choose what the characters are. Options include toys given mortal form who want to find a home, gnomes trying to find a flying broom for an adventure, and villagers looking for an amazing tree to take home. Choose the location and other creatures. Options here include an overly decorated mansion and an enthusiastic family of commoners, a floating cloud castle and playful prankster pixies, and a wooden hut covered in lights and snowmen in patched clothes like scarecrows. Choose the adversary or creature in need. Options here include a desperate fae who wants a sacrifice for an ancient festive ritual, a mage trying to get an enchanted sled to distribute gifts from, and a frost giant looking for things to fill their sack with. Choose the events and complications. These include someone plays a prank and a fugitive asks for protection, a race starts and someone is injured in a crash, and there's a dance-off but someone's true nature is revealed. The release is titled Festive One-Shot Adventures, and it's available on DM's Guild for about $1, so it's definitely worth the price. Next up is Gingerbread and Dragons. Yes, it's for 5th edition D&D. Yes, it's Christmas themed. And yes, it has the potential to be a warm and fuzzy adventure instead of hack and slash, though that is a possibility as well. I wish the name of the author of this had been printed on it because I'd like to give them credit for it, but it's very well laid out and easy to follow, and while it's not the longest or the largest one-shot I've ever seen, if you're wanting to ensure you get through something in one night, this will certainly fit the bill. The scenario is built for any level, any setting, and is specifically noted to be appropriate for children, as violence isn't built into the scenario unless the players specifically pursue the option. So, you could play it at a family function if you so choose. I'll pull the overview from the copy, so again, I'd like to give credit to the writer of this. If you're listening, let me know and I'll make sure you get it in a future episode. Every year, from the remote village of Pinefall, hidden in the forests up on a mountainside, a big cart makes its way down the twisting trails and the rough terrain just to bring the delicious holiday sweets baked by beloved Grandma Pinar to all the kids and families of the nearby villages. However, this year, the cargo seems to be already 2 days late. This has never happened. Word around the villages has it that something may have happened to Grandma Pinar, or maybe she's lost track of the calendar. Whatever the case might be, someone has to brave the path up to Pinefall before it's too late, and the kids of the valley will have to go this winter without any sweets. Again, you can pick this up from the DM's Guild, and I got it for about $2. A Very Aberrant Holiday Special is next on this list. Written by Kyle Carty, it takes Christmas and sort of drops it on its head. How? I'll read Kyle's paragraph on this from the scenario. Christmas Life Day, Candle Nights, or Midwinter. Whatever you want to call it, this holiday-themed adventure is perfect to run in December. An entity from the far realm has taken it upon itself to bring some holiday cheer to the small logging town of Pinemere. However, its alien brain might have grasped the larger components of the season, but it failed to understand the more nuanced aspects. For example, Jack-in-the-Boxes should not eat people whole, and the tree that gets decorated should not smash people into the ground beneath it. That's where presents go. This one-shot is written for a group of 3 to 5 players with characters of 3rd or 4th level. Plenty of plot hooks are provided for DMs to use to drop this into their regular game, and it looks like it'll play well with pretty much any style of game. And of course, things will end well and all tied up in a nice bow. Kyle created creatures for this game like the Christmas tree imp, the gingerbread man, and the snack in the box. A very aberrant holiday special is available from the DM's Guild, and I spent about $2 to pick it up. Last up on today's show is A Holiday House of Horrors, written by Joshua Churchill. Built for characters level 3 and 4, it has the group inside a manor house tucked away in the woods. Needless to say, a whole lot of mischief winds up taking place in there, and the group finds themselves trapped inside until they can get it all resolved. And I couldn't continue without reading the piece Joshua wrote that's on the inside cover. 'Twas a fine winter night, and all through the manor, all the creatures were stirring in a devious manner. The stockings were lurking, eager to strike, in the hopes that the players would come here this night. The ghoulies were nestled and hidden around, while the ones below worked without sound. The book had been opened to a brand new page, the old man prepared for a new holiday rage. In neat tiny rows spread out with care, hidden monstrosities lurked everywhere. Every picture follows with eyes dark as coal, the walls hunger for the taste of fresh mortal souls. All in preparation, you see, all the critters set free. The master will return on a night just like this. A feast like this he would never miss. Again, Joshua Churchill is the author, so credit for that goes to him. One thing that makes this release different from pretty much everything else we've covered today is that there is violence involved, and while it's bizarre, it's still violence. A Holiday House of Horrors is available from the DM's Guild, and again, I think I paid about $2 for my copy. And with that, we've come to the end of today's tour. I know we've come in a lot shorter than we usually would, but with the number of one-shots we've got out there this week, you've got plenty of choices to pick up if you want to run a one-shot when you get your family and or game group together this holiday season. Next week, I'm taking a week off from research and production as I prepare for Christmas, but I'm not leaving you in the lurch. We'll be doing what I'm calling a megasode, and it's going to be 2 of the most listened to shows in the history of the podcast. The episode on the history of D&D and the Arcane Magazine poll of the 50 most popular role-playing games of all time. Now, I've already put this together, and I can tell you it's about 90 minutes of role-playing history, so you're going to have a lot of goodness to listen to all weekend long. Between now and then, check out Bad GM's campaign Build Along. This week, our group has to decide whether or not they're activating the program that will self-destruct the synths. After that, they get a line on where to find Paladin Zane, and they need to start game planning on how to take her out. Bad GM's campaign Build Along is available wherever you get your podcasts or from our website, badgmproductions.net. The music we use for this show comes from pixabay.com. Check them out for all your royalty-free, license-free music needs. Roleplaying History is a production of Bad GM Productions. We have our presence all over social media, so check out the info box for this episode or the website to see where you can follow us. Next week is the Holiday Megasode, and we'll be pouring 90 minutes of history goodness into your ear holes, so make sure you check it out. Until then, I'm Wayne Davis, and you're Roleplaying History.